Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. In today's video we're going to be talking about the Andor series, Obi-Wan Kenobi, some new Star Wars comics, and more. So as we say around these parts, no more jibber jabber, let's dive straight into it. So we begin with some amazing news for the Andor series, as the composer for the Rogue One prequel has been announced. Nicholas Brittle is the man in the spotlight, who was confirmed by Film Music Reporter to have done the score for Star Wars Andor. Now I must say that this is great news, because he's one of the most talented in the world right now, and with a versatility that puts emphasis on piano, violin, and brass compositions, he is right at home with a Star Wars series that's poised to be a spy thriller. Some of his most famous work includes the music for Succession, Moonlight, If Beale Street Could Talk, Don't Look Up, Cruella, Vice, The Big Short, and The Underground Railroad, among so many others, and I'm sure that his score for Andor is no doubt going to be a unique and original addition to the symphony of soundtracks for the galaxy far, far away. Now, many of us assumed that Michael Giacchino was going to return to score the Andor series, given that he did the music for Rogue One, but that is not the case. We also have to bear in mind that Andor is going to have a distinctly different feel to Rogue One. Not only is it going to be a TV series and not a cinematic release, it's also branded as a spy thriller, which is something new to this franchise, and the music has to reflect that. In other words, it's going to stand out genre-wise, and therefore requires a different kind of soundtrack to the big screen releases. And considering he is such a talented composer, I'm sure Nicholas Brittle is going to bring something new to the table, while also staying true to the sound of Star Wars, following in the legacy of John Williams. Now, Andor is one of those series not many people are speaking about right now, but I promise you it's going to be one of the best that comes out this year. Not only is it going to be different from Rogue One, and also include some really interesting prequels flashbacks, but it's also set to be the darkest of all of the shows, something that Diego Luna teased last year. And given that we're going to be focusing on factions of the rebellion, I wouldn't be surprised if one or two familiar faces show up. Another reason to be super hyped about it is that it's 12 episodes long, and that's just season 1. A Disney executive accidentally leaked that it's going to be released in the fiscal fourth quarter of 2022. I really can't wait, super exciting stuff. Now, speaking of the music for Star Wars, we have an update of the recent rumour that John Williams was involved in the Kenobi series. I briefly spoke about it the other day, but this has now been backed by The One Ring, who claims that they have heard that he was definitely involved musically, but did not compose the whole show. Now, when Obi-Wan Kenobi was first announced, one of my first thoughts was, surely they have to get John Williams involved in some way, considering you're dealing with these legacy characters, not only Obi-Wan and Vader, but young Luke Skywalker and young Princess Leia. Well, The One Ring are now claiming that this is exactly the case, and what probably happened was Lucasfilm hired a primary director of music who's going to compose the majority of the score, and John Williams rescored some classic themes to fit into the series. So while he's not the main composer, his presence is felt, and if this is the case, then Kenobi is going to be twice as emotional, because his classic themes are the heart of Star Wars. If Williams is indeed involved, then I'm sure some of the themes that we're going to hear include the Force theme, which was originally written as Old Ben's theme, so that fits perfectly. Also the Imperial March, and maybe even a rewritten version of the Battle of the Heroes, especially if Obi-Wan and Vader are going to have the rematch of the century, a phrase coined by Kathleen Kennedy. I mean, heck, they could even use the version of Duel of the Fates that was recorded for The Rise of Skywalker that never made it into the movie. Now, I will say, considering how huge this rumour is, please do not get your hopes up and take this with a grain of salt. Only 2 outlets have reported on this so far, but if it's true, this might be the best piece of news we've had for Kenobi. John Williams has moved us all with his legendary soundtracks across cinema, and as Star Wars fans, there is nothing more iconic that can bring tears to our eyes than some of those themes, so let's keep our fingers crossed. And so now, my dear Mandalorians, it's that time again to talk about the latest Star Wars comics. And StarWars.com have provided some really interesting previews for all of the comics coming in May, including the final issue of Crimson Reign. Now, the weird thing is, we're only 2 issues in, with issues 3 and 4 dropping before May in March and April respectively. But since they're showcasing all of the May issues, they jumped forward and hinted at what happens in the last issue. Now, in case you're not aware, Crimson Reign is the middle installment of a trilogy of comics. We had War of the Bounty Hunters, which was the first one. Now we have Crimson Reign, and in June, they're going to release The Hidden Empire. All three of these take place between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Now, both Crimson Reign and The Hidden Empire focus predominantly on Qi'ra, who's become a dangerous and focal leader in the criminal underworld. We last left off at the end of issue number 2, where Qi'ra reveals her master plan. She wants to kill the Emperor and eradicate the Sith. Of course, we know timeline-wise that she's going to fail. In issue number 2, we also see Deathstick the Assassin kidnap a girl called Cadalaya on behalf of Qi'ra. Now, issues 3 and 4 are going to continue the story, but we have a synopsis for the final issue, and it reads as follows. Lady Qi'ra has used every tool at her disposal to generate chaos in the Galactic Empire, all to further her goal of eradicating the Sith. But as the final phase of Qi'ra's grand plan is revealed, she is about to learn a lesson that the Jedi Order also came to understand. And that is, if you underestimate Emperor Palpatine, you're gonna pay the price. Now, in my opinion, they might be teasing her potential demise at the hands of the Emperor, which a lot of fans have theorized might happen, but given the sequel to Crimson Reign, The Hidden Empire, is also set to feature Qi'ra, she might survive. What I can see happening is the Emperor killing Qi'ra's allies of Crimson Dawn and her assassins as a warning to her, but Qi'ra lives. Or an alternative is the meeting between Qi'ra and Palpatine doesn't take place until the final installment of the trilogy, Hidden Empire, where she might meet her fate. There are many possibilities. The thing is, Qi'ra thinks that she is strategic and is very arrogant with how much power she thinks she has, but she has not yet felt the wrath of the dark side and does not realize what she's up against. Her ultimate goal to destroy the Empire and the Sith is unreasonable, and we know that she's going to fail, but the only way I can see her surviving these comics is if she is spared by Palpatine or is lucky enough to escape or avoid him. He might even spare her under one condition, that he uses her abilities to further his goals. But I don't see that happening, because by the sounds of things she wants to face him head on, and I cannot see it ending well for her, no matter what her final master plan involves, and even the mysterious archivist said that the tale of Crimson Dawn is one of tragedy. And you know what? It could even explain why she's not around by the time of the Book of Boba Fett. And speaking of the archivist, in issue number 3, which drops in a couple of weeks, they've teased a link between the archivist, whose identity is currently unknown, and Master Yoda on Dagobah. As always, my dear friends, I will keep you updated on all new developments. But it's really interesting, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a plot twist to do with Qi'ra. Maybe she does survive and eventually regroups and creates a new syndicate, one we might see in the Mando-verse. Now, we also have a preview for the Obi-Wan Kenobi comics, which is basically Obi-Wan from Tatooine reflecting on his life. In their own words, they say, as he spends his final days in the remote deserts of Tatooine, Obi-Wan Kenobi takes time to reflect on and record key moments of a heroic life long lived. Writing in old leather-bound journals from his hut, Obi-Wan remembers his days as a young initiate, his trials as a Padawan, the crucible of Jedi knighthood and the Clone Wars, and some of the earliest challenges he faced as a true master of the Force. In this tale, Obi-Wan considers a watershed youngling adventure that he narrowly survived on Coruscant when he was but 8 years of age. So basically some reflections of Obi-Wan, which I hope we're also going to see in the Kenobi series. And one person I really hope we see in flashbacks is Duchess Satine, Obi-Wan's true love. She was such an important part of his life, and I personally buy into the theory that Corky is his son. So really awesome stuff there. And so finally, my dear friends, we have an update for LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, the much anticipated game which is edging ever nearer, and now LEGO Star Wars have revealed the 10 versions of Luke Skywalker. These are from across the saga, including the ceremony outfit from A New Hope, his Hoth gear, his Endor gear, his Dagobah clothes, the multiple outfits he wears on Arc 2 Island, and much more. Anticipation for this game is at an all-time high. But otherwise, my dear friends, that brings us to the end of this video. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments down below on LEGO Star Wars, on John Williams possibly returning to school the Kenobi series, Andor, Qi'ra, and everything we spoke about. And if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and you're more than welcome. And as always, the link to my Patreon page is down below. But until the next one, my dear friends, may the Force be with you always. I'm Star Wars Meg. Have a good one.